on my way to the Plastic Health Summit in Amsterdam, and the key question is, what are the main concerns and risks in the use of plastic?
There are well-established risks.
It feels toxic, it feels dangerous.
This is serious.
There is no guarantee that these products are safe.
They've got it wrong, deeply wrong.
They are design failures.
We have to stop with plastics.
I was at the Plastic Health Summit in Amsterdam, 3rd of October, and there's one thing that really stuck to my mind, and that was a slide Professor Vethaak showed us, and it was a plate of mussels. And of course, you understand that in those mussels you find microplastics, but what he said, you can push that plate aside, but it's on the rim of that plate you find the most microplastics just from the air. But the key question remains, is it harmful getting those plastics inside your body? I talked to Professor Vethaak later that day, but first I got to talk to Cyrill, Gutch from Parley, from the ocean.
We don't 100% know, that's what we learned today, what plastic does to us. But that's already for me a problem, because if you design items, if you design products and you don't know the ingredients that you're using, that's an issue for me as a designer.
He argues there is a design failure since plastic leaches additives from its packaging straight into your food, into the air and into the water.
That means this material does something. It does something to the content of its product. It does something to our bodies. It does something to nature. Most of the materials we're using today, and plastic is a symbol of that, they are design failures because they're doing things they shouldn't do, and we can't afford it anymore. It's not acceptable.
I am worried about what's on the microplastics.
After that, I spoke to Pete Meyer, who is a professor in endocrinology. So he studies hormones. And I asked him the same question.
There are well-established risks to the chemicals that are in plastics to our health, to the point now that the medical community recognizes these issues as so serious that the World Health Organization has declared endocrine disruption, which is what I study, declared it a global public health threat. This is serious. Here we're sitting in a situation where we've got these miraculous materials, plastics, which do often really good things that can't be done by anything else, but also who have these huge health risks.
According to Pete Meyer, there is the 3 R's. And I'm not talking about recycling, I'm talking about reform, redesign, and recharge.
We have to redesign the materials that are being used in society using modern 21st century science. Second, we have to be able to use that science to reform the regulatory structure. How is it that that EFSA or the US FDA or the US EPA, how are they determining what's safe and what's not? Well, they've got it wrong, deeply wrong. They're fooling themselves and us if when they tell us that they know what's safe and what's not. But perhaps the most important thing is we need to recharge the public.
And the recharge part, that's what we, as a community of plastic avengers, can do.
Here, to make sure that the opportunities we have to redesign are fulfilled and the opportunities we have to reform become global public outcries to get it done. Those are the real 3 R's. Recycle doesn't make it. It's a sham.
I also got to talk to Vethaak. Is there a risk in the use of plastics?
Absolutely. If you talk about the chemical additives that are compounded in the plastics, they can leach out of the plastics in your food, in the air, in the water. There's mounting evidence for that it can be dangerous for your health.
So there is the additives to plastic which can cause endocrine disruption, but what about the really small plastics, nano-size pieces which can then infiltrate your body through your lungs or through your intestine?
The particle thing is something we have more and more indications that there's a potential health risk. there is not yet hard evidence for this. And that's why we desperately need this research here. Today we heard for the first time there's a potential for nanoplastics and microplastics to enter the placenta as well. Well, for me it's quite obvious, you know, we have to stop with plastics.
Stop with plastics.
Yeah, because basically there are very useful plastics as well, but there are other sources that that need to be dealt with also, you know, like the car tire dust.
Yeah.
Like the polymeric paints, your textile fibers here. And
Redesign.
Redesign. For me, that is the only way to go in for that sort of products. Yeah.
In the closing statement, the scientists called on more research because we just do not know enough about the risks and hazards. But there is a growing concern and we need more research. Think about this vlog next time you order a plate of mussels. See you next week.